Okay, so we're back again for another podcast and with a familiar guest, my sister this time.
Hi.
And for some of you who have been long-term subscribers, you'll probably notice that we're in a similar location. This is the exact same hotel that we were in when we, was it the last? No, I don't think it was the last podcast, but one we did when we kind of did a Q&A together. So yeah, some of you might recognise the background. A bit weird that we're in the exact same hotel, but here we are. I thought in this podcast we'd just talk a bit about relationships and kind of the current dynamics going on, because I know that a lot of you guys out there are struggling with dating and women and relationships and kind of understanding things from maybe a female's perspective. Let me just move that. So I thought, get my sister on and see what she thinks, and maybe it will give you a couple of tips where you're maybe going wrong. So first of all, I just wanted to kind of explain things from where a lot of young men see things from currently. So I think a lot of young men that I've kind of heard and a lot of comments I get on my on YouTube and stuff think that the current dating dynamics are pretty hopeless and bleak. And a lot of guys have tried online dating. I think that's what a lot of people have tried. And for a lot of young men that are kind of looking to this type of content of self-improvement, they aren't really getting the caliber of women that they probably believe that they deserve to get or that they want to get. And I feel like this is really negatively affecting their self-esteem, and a lot of these guys are probably going down a kind of a dark kind of rabbit hole when it comes to dating and kind of just giving up. And a lot of guys have already kind of just checked out of the dating scene. I've had that comment saying like, I'd give up, like I'm not interested anymore. So I find this quite scary, and I want to help a lot of these guys. I don't want people to give up because I feel like it shouldn't be a lost cause.
You don't want to be alone forever.
No, I don't. I feel like no one really wants to be, despite I've heard people say, oh, I don't need a woman, I don't want to be with someone. I feel like they don't truly. It's probably, if they had the option, I feel like everyone would definitely want to be with someone. So yeah, I feel like overall guys have used dating apps and that's kind of their only experience, and a lot of guys aren't exposed to the same exposure as maybe our parents would be in terms of like putting themselves out there in social situations that way. So a lot of their experiences either coming from dating apps or through other kind of male influencers, and they're kind of saying like, just focus on this, for example, like money or like game or something like this, and they don't really know themselves what kind of works. So yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't really have a great perspective of kind of what a lot of women want, and also they probably see a lot of women out there who do like the OnlyFans and stuff, and they're like, oh, all women are like this, and all women only want a certain type of guy. And I feel like this is really skewed, and even from my perspective that a lot of guys definitely get this wrong, and I don't want a lot of young men kind of thinking like this is how all women are, because I know that a lot, including yourself, a lot of women that I speak to don't think like this, and they don't all care about the same things that a lot of these guys will tell you about. So the first question I want to put to you is, what type of qualities would you look for when looking for a suitable partner to be with on a romantic scale?
I think the first thing I would look for, I mean, it's quite hard because obviously you've got to get to know someone first. And you obviously do have to be attracted to them. I don't think you can just go, oh, well, their personality is great, because like the first initial thing is you talk to someone because you find them attractive. So obviously you do have to have like a attraction to the person. And the main quality I look for is someone who's funny and who has like a good goal in life and has good morals, because I don't actually care that much about like how much money someone has or how much money someone earns, because realistically at our age no one has that much money, and if they do, it's like passed down from the family or whatever anyway. It's not like they've earned it. and if they have fair play, but it doesn't mean they're a better person. It just means that they have access to more things, and realistically they're more likely to cheat on you if they have loads of money because they think they can get anyone they want, which isn't true. Don't really know what other qualities I look for, really. It takes quite a lot of time to like get to know someone, because people can lie a lot, and then once you get to know them, spend more time with them, they're like a completely different person. Like they seem great at the start, but then once you see like how they are like at home, or even just stuff like how they treat other people. Say you're out for dinner and they treat the like waiter or whatever like they're not polite, they just don't really care, then that can make such a difference, I think, anyway.
Yeah, I definitely feel like a lot of women will probably agree with that, like the same types of qualities. That like the next question I was going to ask was like, how important is money? Because I feel like a lot of guys, like that is the message that they're given from a lot of influencers, is like, oh, just get as much money as you can, and until you're earning like X amount of money, then you're not gonna attract the woman you want to be with. But for me, I've always kind of looked at that and been like, well, I wouldn't want to be with someone if that got taken away, for example, money, then they don't want to be with me, then like I don't want to be with someone like that, and I don't really get why other men would, really.
Well, no, because like I have seen videos where like it's like people go up to people on like girls on the street and they say like, how much does a person you want to be with, like how much do they need to earn, and they're just saying like ridiculous like, no, like it's so hard to earn what they're saying, and they're honestly like in the nicest way possible, they're like the biggest ugliest girls ever, and they think they can like get like whatever they want because they're just quite delusional. But I just think it really matters like what goals they're working towards, and like hopefully in time they will earn like a good amount of money to provide for you and like your family, like if it's like a long-term whatever relationship. But I don't think money matters. Well, to me money doesn't matter at all. Obviously if they're just sat at home like not doing anything, then that's really quite tragic.
That's
but
not attractive.
No, but if they're really trying and they have like a plan and they know what they want in life, then they don't need to be suddenly like have to be earning whatever ridiculous amount for me to be like, okay, I'll go on a date with you, because realistically is a girl earning that much? No. And I think it is equal. I don't think always a man should be earning all the money and the girl just doesn't do anything, because that's what a lot of girls think now, that they just don't have to like be working, because once they find someone rich they'll be fine. But like you probably don't love them if you're just with them for the money.
No, definitely not. And I feel like definitely like you said, that a lot of girls just think they don't have to do anything, and then this guy's going to come along with all the money. And I guess there has been a lot of examples recently over the last few years where a lot of guys have probably done that, but I feel like that's kind of through social media, and a lot of people don't get like a real perspective of how things are. And I just don't really think like it's not gonna be anything that you truly want, especially if you're a young man kind of like into like self-development and stuff like that. I don't think you're really gonna want to be with someone who's just with you for your money. And I feel like times have like changed, and I feel like it's still important for a man to provide and all of this, but I don't think it's right for a girl to think like she can just do nothing really when she's younger, and then be like, oh, okay, I'll just wait till someone comes around with a load of money. Like, yeah, it's a bit different maybe if you have a child and a family to support, then maybe then you rely a lot more on the man. But definitely when you're younger, I feel like you should be working just as hard, maybe not as much as on like a job or a business, but definitely as much on yourself to attract that partner, which I feel like a lot of women neglect more because they probably don't need to as much as like men do, because obviously they can't get the same level of attraction from a young age, I'd say. Yeah.
No, I think that's definitely true. And it's always the same like type of girls who use people for the money. like you wouldn't want to be with them because like you can just imagine like how many people they've been with before, and why would you want to be with someone who like you don't want to be with someone who will be with anyone because they're not anything special.
Yeah, for sure. And that's like a lot of people we know just kind of hop from one relationship to the other.
I can think of someone in particular.
Might be watching this video right now.
You definitely are.
And I feel like when you're young, especially, like a lot of people are just not happy with themselves, and that's why they have to find someone else to kind of balance that out. But I feel like long term that's kind of destined to fall apart, and you're really going to struggle with yourself. And I feel like it's a lot better for you at a younger age to kind of go through that period of being alone and learning yourself and learning what you actually want in a relationship, instead of hopping from one failed relationship to another with someone who you don't really want to be with, but it's easy, it's comfortable. That's what most people, that's what most people look for. Just someone they can have there, that they can spend time with, they can have sex with, and
because they've got no actual hobbies of their own, so any free time they just spend together 24/7. And that's not healthy, because at the end of the day you're just going to end up breaking up, and then you'll be going on to the next person. But that's just because you're obviously not happy, like you can't be on your own, you physically can't be on your own, which just proves that you're not happy with your life. So it's like the worst way. I think it's probably like the worst way to handle stuff at our age, because say in like when you move out on your own, then if you're not with someone, then what are you going to do? You can't just like, it's such an unhealthy thing to do. But most people nowadays just think it's normal, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely think there's been a lot. I feel like a lot of people are kind of like lost, and they feel like the answer is an external kind of something external, whether that be in a different environment, or a lot of people mainly will be with thinking it comes through someone else. But a lot of the answers, if people looked inside, they'd find a lot more than they would believe, and probably ever will. And a lot of people will go through their whole life without kind of looking inside and having this self-reflection that some people like myself have kind of had at a younger age. And I feel like that's a really kind of sad thing, that a lot of people will never have that self-realization. But I guess that's for them to worry about, and they can kind of go ahead and do what they want. But the next thing that kind of links a bit to money is another thing that I think is like kind of superficial, and something that a lot of people shouldn't really worry about too much, is height. And how much do you think that matters for a man when it comes to someone you'd want to be with?
I would like someone to be a similar height to me. I think similar height, obviously if they're taller, that is great. Similar height, or like the tiniest bit shorter. I just can't stand like the girls who are saying they have to be 6 foot whatever, or I'm not going to be with them, because like they probably don't want to be with you anyway, so it doesn't matter. I don't think it's a big deal. I wouldn't personally want to be with someone who's a lot smaller than me, because it just like doesn't work for me. But as long as they're not like drastically smaller than me, they can be like the tiniest bit, or say like I'm wearing like heeled shoes. If I was taller than them, it doesn't matter, because that's not like, it's not their fault that I'm wearing bigger shoes. Like, who cares? But I don't think it's a big deal. I really don't. I just think a similar height, and that's great, really.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these guys, it kind of just, like, when you speak to girls, like, I feel the problem with a lot of these guys that think all this stuff about, like, height, looks, money, like, all of these kind of pillars that they're like, I don't have these, so it's not worth me trying, have just need to kind of have some exposure to the real world and kind of go and actually speak to girls. Because, like, I remember watching this documentary, it was about, like, incels or something. And then there's some guy like went out into the real world. He went to like this bar and stuff and spoke to some girl. And then he was like, oh, like, how much does like height matter? And she was like, what are you on about? She was like, oh, as long as he's like a nice guy and funny, that's kind of what. And he was like, really? He was like, because a lot of these guys, like I said, all they have is kind of these, they're only going off like online kind of influence that they've had, that which is like so toxic for a lot of people. They just
it can make people feel really bad. Like, boys, like...
It does.
Like, if you're a boy and you're not the tallest and like all your friends are taller, it can like make you, well, I obviously don't know, but I can imagine that it can make you feel like you don't really stand a chance, where it's really not important. And if it is so important to someone, then they need to look at the bigger picture, really. Like, you don't want to be with someone who only wants to be with someone who is 6 foot whatever, because like why? What's that going to change?
No, nothing at all. And yeah, like I say, I think it comes down to just like going out there and seeing for yourself what people really want. And that's why like social media is such a kind of, gives everyone such a bad perspective. And yeah, like you say, it's making like so many men feel bad. And even myself, I've been there and thought about similar stuff, never as bad as a lot of these guys, but thinking, I'm not tall enough, even though I'm like taller than an average guy. And
well, yeah, some people, like some boys wear like not heeled shoes, but do you know, like trainers that are like got big soles so they look taller. But like, it's just not necessary, because if you get on with someone so well and you find them attractive and then they're like, you're too small, that's the only reason, then you wouldn't want to be with them anyway.
You don't want to be with someone who wouldn't want to be with you just because of one of those things. Like, it's not something like a lot of you guys listening would want to. You don't want to be with someone who looks at you and he's like, yeah, he's not that tall. If he was 1 or 2 inches higher, then okay, I'd be with him. Or if he was earning like another 10, 20,000, then that would be the deal breaker. Like, that for me, that's not what like love and being an intimate relationship is all about. And like that, I feel like that is kind of just something that's kind of wrong in the modern dating dynamics. A lot of people aren't really looking at finding people for like their true values of their values and what they kind of want in their life. And like for example, like dating apps, like that's why I think they're so bad, because they're all obviously looks orientated, and a lot of them are now include your height and stuff, which is becoming like a big deal for men and stuff. And I'm like, there's so many other factors, such as like obviously your personality, and then your personality can be broke down into so many different areas, such as like just being funny, being quite intellectual, having charisma, all of these like little stuff that in person, I'm sure any girl watching this would admit that it's going to make a massive difference. And you're never going to know any of these different things if you don't actually go and speak to someone in person and truly get to know who they are, instead of just being like, right, he's good looking and he's 6'3", which is all a dating app can kind of give you, that view of someone or how much money they've got. That's
it sounds great like on paper, but like you could go on a date with them and it's like talking to a brick wall. Like, what is the point? I've met boys where like, yeah, they might be good looking, fair enough, I'll give them that, and they might be quite tall, and then honestly they're the most boring people I've ever met, and I prefer to be with someone or go on a date with someone who, yeah, they might be not as good looking, but like they make me laugh and we have like an actual conversation. And it's not even like, if you're texting the person, it's not just like, oh, what are you doing? Or like the most, like, I don't care, like don't text me stuff like that. I prefer to talk to someone about actually like something interesting. So yeah, I don't really think it matters at all.
There you go. So that's a good kind of answer, I think, for a lot of you guys when it comes to money and height, that they, from a female's perspective, that it isn't really like that important. Obviously, yes, it matters somewhat. Maybe, yes, if you are the shortest guy out there, if you are some guy who has absolutely no money and you're not trying, then yeah, you should worry. But I'm sure you're not really in that position if you kind of watching this content and you actually want to improve yourself, because there's a lot you can do. And I'm sure if you do those necessary steps that you can and become the best version of yourself, that is what it's all about, then you will achieve that. And then you can then go out there and definitely there'll be a lot of women who will be attracted to you still.
And also, if some girl is asking you how much you earn like the first time you meet them, you don't need to tell them. Why do they need to know that? That's just like them trying to weasel the way in. Like, just, you don't need to tell them the first time you meet someone. You don't even need to tell them the second time you meet them. You can tell them when you actually want to know the person and you know they actually care about you, then you can let them know.
Yeah, I feel like for me, especially if I went on a date with a girl and the first thing she asks is like, "Oh, how much you earning?" and like, "How much money do you have?" and asking like, or asking questions that I kind of know that are kind of linked to do with money, I'd be like, I probably don't want to be with this person because
Yeah.
they're not compatible. I don't value the same things as her, and I don't like. For me, I've always looked and I'm like, I don't want to be with someone who just wants to be with me for whether it be money or looks or just like one reason that could at any point be taken away from me. I don't think anyone should look at those qualities and be like, I want to be with them because of that. You got to look like internally. I feel like that's massive. But anyway, I think we'll move on to the next point, and that is cold approaching. And it's kind of been quite a big kind of thing over the last few months. A lot of guys are kind of getting into it a lot more. I've seen a lot of videos on it now. And it's probably something that I feel like I should probably do more. But for whatever reason, I've not kind of managed to so far. So I wanted to just ask you, what is your thoughts on a guy cold approaching you?
So that's just coming up to you.
Yeah, just like on the
in
street,
public.
yeah, or anywhere, the gym or somewhere like that. Yeah.
I actually think it's really quite attractive. I think it's really cool, but most people don't do it because the only thing boys will do, I mean the boys that I've seen in public anyway, I'm guessing you would think if someone keeps looking at you, they find you attractive, and if you look back, like you can kind of tell if someone's like does find you attractive.
Yeah.
But they won't come up to you because most boys are scared of being rejected, which is fair enough because girls can feel like that too. And yeah, people might come up to you. A lot of time it happens like in a club or a bar, but that's because they're drunken and
yeah,
it's different.
It's not the same, is it?
But I think if boys did that like sober, like day-to-day basis, I do think that's a really good way to get to know someone. Because if someone did that to me, I would find it like it proves that they're really confident and like they clearly do find you attractive, and I don't know, I would think it's really nice. But I mean, to be honest, people have only done it in a party setting.
Yeah.
But no, I think it's a really good thing to do. But most people also, like, as I said earlier, like when you can tell someone's looking at you, but then there's like they get close to you, they'll just go on their phone,
yeah.
and then it's like, well, I'm not going to come up to you. So, but I mean, to be fair, I say I'm not going to come up to you. I have done it before, like completely sober, day-to-day basis, and it went absolutely fine. Like people just overthink it way too much, especially think because boys are meant to be the one who does come up to the girl, but I don't think that's true. I think it can work both ways, and I think if a boy did come up to a girl, especially if you had like a bit of eye contact before or whatever, I think that's I would be quite surprised if it didn't go fine. And at the end of the day, if they say no, I was talking to my friend about this before, because we were like, if they say no, are we ever going to see them again? Probably not.
No.
And they'll just like, it doesn't matter, we'll probably forget about it after like the next day. So it's just like something that's so like overthought about, and then people think about it, because I've done it before where like you overthink it, like what am I going to say, how am I going to act, and then you just don't do it.
Yeah, I think for a lot of guys it is the fear of rejection. Like a lot of guys, I don't think there's a lot of guys out there that have probably done it and been like, like it's so bad, I'm like not going to try again. I feel like as soon as you kind of do it, you probably want to do it more. And yeah, from like a lot of the statistics that I've looked at, that it's around like, I think it's over 50% of the, maybe 75% of guys that approach a girl end up getting like something out of it, maybe like a date or a phone number or at least something like that. So the stats are pretty good. So girls are clearly like, the vast majority of them are clearly like liking this approach, and that a lot of guys should definitely go. But I feel like it's still a lot of guys are still lacking that courage to go and do it, and including myself, because even though like I will tell myself that, oh, like what's the worst that's going to happen, they're going to say no, you're never going to see them again.
It depends, because if it's like someone who's been brought up really well and they're a nice person, then even if they don't want to give you their number, whatever you've asked, and they'll say it in a nice way. And then if it's a girl who, whatever, they're basically the opposite, and they are rude to you, they say something horrible, then you wouldn't want to be with them anyway. So who cares if they say no? Like, you just, like, it's how someone responds. If they're polite and they reject you, then at least, like, maybe you could be friends, maybe. And if not, then at least they've gone a nice way about it. But if they've, like, said whatever, called you, like, some weird name, or just, like, completely blew you off and was just like, get away from me, then you wouldn't want to be with them anyway, because they clearly don't know how to talk to someone with respect. Who cares? And you're not going to see them again, as I said earlier, so it doesn't make any difference. At least you've tried, and every time you do it, you'll get more confident and better at it anyway.
Easier every time. And I feel like it's just that initial kind of like breaking the seal, just doing it initially is what a lot of guys just need to do. And then, I think it will become a lot easier. And then I feel like you'll like gain, like, even if it kind of went quite badly, I feel like you would actually gain a lot you'd feel so much better afterwards than not doing it, because you're always going to have that regret. Whereas you can have rejection and like, that's okay, like we go through that all the time, but you're always going to be overthinking that, be like, what if that could have happened, and you'll never get to know because you just didn't have the courage to go over. So I feel like it's something that I don't think there's like a certain kind of, you can watch a lot of videos and people tell you do this, and I don't want to make a video like that, and I don't feel like that, especially I feel like you just have to, it just comes down to having courage and just doing it. Maybe at first, like you say, a lot of guys will do it drunk and stuff and at clubs, which is pretty easy. Like, I can do that, and I don't struggle, and that's nothing to shout about. I don't feel like that's impressive at all. But maybe you just kind of like lower this, and maybe it's just kind of like in a bar or something, and you have like a couple of drinks, and like, this is when I think alcohol can be a good thing for a lot of young people to socially kind of lube you up, so to speak. And I feel like that could be a kind of good way for a lot of guys to kind of have their first experience with cold approaching. They've had a few drinks, maybe 2-3 drinks, and they're like, they've had a bit of drink, they can feel it, they've got a bit of confidence, but they're not like drunk and they're all over the place.
Well, no, because if you're just drunk and you're going out to someone in a club, like, you clearly just probably want to get with them. And like, any girl who has that respect for themselves won't just get with you in a club because you've gone up to them. So, like, there's just no point. You may as well, as you said, if you're at like a bar with your friends, had a little bit to drink, feeling a bit jolly, and if you see someone who's pretty good looking, then give it a go. And at the end of the day, if they say no, then just have another drink. It'll be fine.
Yeah, that's one way you could get over it, guys. I think that's not I feel like that is a kind of a good, that was the advice that I would probably give you. Just,
I wouldn't watch videos like how to approach a girl, because I think that's quite, like, if someone told me that I've been watching YouTube videos about how to talk to you, I'd be like, that's a bit weird. Like, just go like how you would do it naturally, and it will go so much better. Like, you don't want like a little like play-by-play of what you're gonna do, because you'll go awkward and you'll go weird, because like, it happens to the best of us. So
definitely, and you'll also learn so much more from that first time, where it's probably going to be the worst out of all your times approaching, and maybe it goes wrong. You're going to learn like 10, 100 times as much as you will that time than watching like 10, 20, 50 videos on the subject. Like, it's just going to give you like a headache, because it'll be like, he told me to do this, should I go to this venue, should I do this, should I wait for her, like all of this different stuff that,
and like the body language videos and like the eye contact videos, like, just don't, because like, especially if you had a drink, you might go a bit weird. So just go natural and it'll be fine. That's my best advice.
I think, you're just going to overthink everything if you watch too much of this content, and not even just when it comes to women and approaching women, just anything in life. I feel like if you go, it's quite dangerous, because I've been there myself when I've watched too much content on something, and then I overthink it, and I'll talk to somewhat normal people and they'll think I'm a bit weird and stuff. So I feel like just go through that approach. I feel like a lot of life you will learn so much more from having those harsh lessons that won't be very comfortable in the moment, but you'll learn so much more, and you definitely won't regret it, even if it does feel very difficult in the moment. So the last kind of thing I wanted to talk about in this episode of this podcast was just kind of your previous experiences with relationships. So how many serious relationships would you say you've been in?
I wouldn't say any of them were serious, to be honest. I think they're all pretty tragic. I mean, I've only ever had one actual boyfriend, I would say. And even at that point, I mean, I was 18, 19. I wouldn't now class it as a serious relationship at all, in the slightest. It was tragic. I mean, I spoke to people where you've never been together, but like you spend quite a lot of time with them. Again, didn't go well. So, I mean, my past experience hasn't been great, but I haven't really spoken to anyone seriously at all for quite a long time now, because like I'm actually just very happy on my own, and if I find someone naturally, then that would be great. That's how I see it. I'm not really looking like most people are to be like with someone. I would never use, as you were talking about earlier, I would never use a dating app because it's a waste of time, and I don't really think much serious would come from it. Not it's impossible, but for me, anyway.
Yeah, I feel like your chances are like less than 1%.
Yeah, especially like nowadays. Like the same people are on like every single date now.
Yeah,
so
I've been there. Yeah.
I mean, I've never had a dating app, and I want to stick to it to never ever do it, because I don't want to be with the boys who are on a dating app anyway.
No, you definitely don't. I mean, I don't really know. Obviously, I'm
well,
not
no, neither.
going down that. But from my experience with them is it's not good, and you do see the same people, and if you take a break and go back on, you'll see the same people on, and you don't want to. I feel like that is definitely the best approach, is kind of just to be happy with yourself, get on with whatever you're doing, and then if something comes along, you see someone you want to go speak to, just go. I know this probably sounds like a lot easier said than done, but like at the end of the day, what other option? Like for me, I feel like I said, dating apps are not an option. So what else you gonna do? You can like be with someone who you might have kind of known from school, like a lot of people do, and like be with them, but like for me, it's not gonna. Do you
want to?
No, probably not. I feel like both parties would both be like, I would happily be with someone else, but this is easy, convenient, and comfortable. And speaking of which, I thought the last thing we could kind of speak about is it just happens that both the two people that we have both been with, who are kind of our longest term relationships, are actually both together now.
Oh, convenient.
And I just thought, what's your thoughts on this? Because for me, I feel like it's just the weirdest thing ever, and whenever I've spoke to anyone about it, they're like what the fuck? And obviously the guy that you were with was actually my friend at the time, a very close friend.
Which makes it even worse.
Yeah, which is like a massive backstab to me. And at the time when he got with the girl that I used to be with, he was actually my friend, and I knew this was only going one way, so that's why I decided like I'm not being friends with you anymore. But I feel like this is like the weirdest thing ever, like for me and you, like we're both they are with each other when we were both with them at different points. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's so weird. Like, I think all my friends that I've told and whatever, they're like, well, what the actual hell? Like, that is the weirdest thing. Like, do they not want to like keep it out of the family? Like, it's really fucking weird. I also think, like, do you not know anyone else? Like, do you not have anything better to do than go on our like profile and like even like, sorry, but they're together now, but for a strong fact he's still going on my profile. I've had to make it private so he doesn't go on it anymore. It's so weird. It's so weird, and it's not normal, and no one can ever say it is, because they have no like leg to stand on. And even like we told our mum, and our mum's like the nicest person ever. She wouldn't say anything bad, and even she was like that's really weird. Like weird is like the only word I can use, because it's so strange. And it just like it's just not normal. I don't know how they can think, oh right, you know what, I'm just gonna get
everything.
like I'm just gonna get with my ex's brother's ex.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like who thinks that's a good idea? And I can tell for a fact neither of them tell anyone else like the full story. And no one knows other than obviously like their friends, because like you can't not know. But anyone knew, they're not going to tell. Like he didn't even tell his actual friends, did he?
No.
So.
Yeah. He tried to make out that it was someone different. I had no idea. That it was someone that I used to be with. For me, it's just, I don't think anyone can defend it, even like their families, if they know the story. Like they're very fake people, so I don't know, but like no one can defend it, and even like themselves. I just think it's weird. So if anyone else is if ever gets into that situation,
I don't think they will, because
probably
anyone
not.
normal wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So, and if they do, then at least you can cut them out of your life, because you don't want to talk to anyone who does that, because that means they're not nice, and no one wants someone who's not nice in their life. But at least they'll be happy together. Yeah,
probably the best for each other, and I'm sure they'll probably both be watching this, but
I mean,
that's for them. But I think we'll probably we'll end it on that note.
We'll end it on that high note, so you can go and talk some more rubbish about us if you're watching it.
But I hope this has been a useful kind of podcast for a lot of guys out there who are struggling with the dating dynamics, the market currently. Hopefully it's given them a bit of optimism, hearing it from kind of a female's perspective. I feel it definitely should, from compared to like a lot of the rubbish you hear online, and from a lot of kind of male influencers' perspectives who definitely don't have the best interest for you. I feel like it should help you, give you confidence to just go out there. So I hope it has, and if it has, maybe you could leave a like or comment and subscribe, and we'll be back again soon. Hopefully get some more podcasts very soon. I want to do some more going forward, because I know it's been a while since I last made one before this, but I hope you guys have enjoyed.
Last note, boys, don't let the stupid girls get you down and inspire them saying like all this rubbish, because at the end of the day you don't want to be with those type of people. So keep it. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but just
don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time.
Anyone that's not worth your time. Remember your value always. And that's all we have. So thank you for coming on.
That's all right.
That's the third time. Maybe on again soon. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
More to talk about, I'm sure. But enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Take care.